This is the part 2 of our smartphone book writing series, and today we're going to be explaining how to use headings. That's your heading 1, heading 2, or the normal style. You know what this heading does? It will help you generate your table of contents automatically as you're writing your pages and arranging them in chapters, sub-chapters, introduction and conclusion. When it is time to now create your table of contents that will match each page, you don't need to start writing it manually. You only need to click on table of contents and it will be generated automatically. This is only possible after you've successfully set your headings. So for the purpose of this class, we are going to be using a topic or a book title: Flower Gardening for Beginners. If you've not seen the part 1 of this series, please check the description down below. You will see the link to watch the part 1, because if you don't watch the part 1, you will not understand what we are doing here. So watch the part 1 and join us in this part 2. If you want to add headings, let's quickly use ChatGPT or Playground to generate a table of contents for our book. We go to our Playground and type write a table of contents for a flower gardening book. As you can see, after typing this, you just click submit. Here is our app giving us a table of contents that we are going to use for this book. When it is done, you just copy it and take it into your doc app so that you can start generating content for each of the elements in the table of contents, and from there you start formatting the book. So let's copy this table of contents. Let's copy everything here. After copying, you paste it in your Google Doc app. Paste. Now this is our table of contents. The first thing you need to do when you generate a table of content like this is to remove all these dots. You are not using this table of contents as our table of contents for this book. We are only using it to write the elements of this book. When we are done, we will now use the doc to generate our own table of contents based on the number of pages our book has and based on the pages where each chapters, introductions, sub-chapters and conclusion. So let's start editing it. Part 1 is going to be chapter 1. Part 2 is going to be chapter 2. Okay, so all you need to do is to remove all these dots so that the table of contents is ready to use for our book. After removing these dots like this, you will now change this to chapter 2 instead of part 2. So chapter 2, plant care. You now start removing the dots here again, because this is the chapter. All these numbers, number 1, number 2, number 3, are going to be the sub chapters. You know that each chapter needs to have a sub chapter. So under chapter 2, plant care, you have watering and fertilizing, you have pruning and deadheading. All these things are going to be sub chapters under each of the chapters. So when you remove it like this, you remove the number 2. You do that for all the chapters generated by Playground. As you can see, we have our table of contents ready. Chapter 1, getting started. Under getting started, you will now have understanding soil types, selecting the right plants, preparing the garden. All these things are elements that beginners can use or read for them to start their own flower gardening. Now, let us start writing each of these elements based on their headings and subheadings. For the introduction, remember I told you that if you want to write a catchy introduction that would improve your sales, you should use a story. It is called storytelling, the act of storytelling. It helps potential buyers understand that this book was written by somebody that feels my pain or that was in the same position as me before he created this book for people to learn from his experience. You need to put a story that touches this person's pain point. Now, when the person comes and the person sees a story about how somebody was able to use a book or the information from a book to create their flower garden, he will know that this is something I can relate with, which means that I can read this book and it will give me the desired results if I practice what is written inside. So let's go back to our playground, delete everything there, and say write a short story about someone who created a flower garden successfully by reading a book. This is the prompt. Once you write this, you just click submit. As you can see, it has started writing. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Jenna and was always deemed of having a beautiful flower garden. She has a passion for flowers but had no idea where to start when it comes to gardening. One day, while browsing through the library, you see, this story is going to let whoever is reading it understand that somebody has read a book and has successfully built their own flower garden, which is going to give this person the impression or the confidence to buy this book, because whoever is going to be reading this story in your book is somebody that is interested in buying a flower gardening guide or book. So if they are reading this story, they'll be convinced to buy your book. So as it stops, you just tap continue, which is submit. You'll see that to continue writing the story. Jenna's garden became the envy of the neighborhood, and she was so proud of her accomplishments. It was all thanks to her hard work, dedication, and the book she read that made it possible. Look at the way it concluded it. This way, the person is reading this your own story, and the person will understand that, wow, so by mere reading a book, I can create my own flower gardening as a beginner. So the person will definitely click to buy your book. So after it has finished writing, you see that the story makes sense. You copy the story, okay? When you copy everything, you would have to go and check plagiarism. I'm not going to teach how to check plagiarism because I have like 5 different videos here on my YouTube channel that has taught how to check plagiarism. It is free of charge. So just watch the videos and check your plagiarism. Any part that seems plagiarized, you make sure to rewrite it. I've also taught how to use QBot to rewrite any plagiarized parts. But in most cases, these stories are not someone else's stories. It is the app that generated it. So you can always get unique stories from this app. But that does not mean you shouldn't check plagiarism and rewrite if you have to. After copying the story, the next thing you want to do is to paste it under your introduction. So this is introduction. You just put your cursor under introduction and then paste. You tap and hold like this, then it will bring out paste, then you paste it like this. Okay, our book is coming up. As you can see, the line spacing, I don't know if this is the line spacing we want to use, but this line spacing is too much. So remember that in part 1 of this series, I explained to you where to get line spacing. All you need to do is to click on the A sign, the A that has underline, click on paragraph, and you will see line spacing. Okay, this line spacing is perfect, because I told us that we are going to be using 1.5 line spacing. If it's not showing 1.5, you can either increase or decrease by tapping on the arrow beside the number. If you tap on the up arrow, it will increase to 2. If you tap on the down arrow, it will decrease by 0.5. So if we tap it again, you see that it has reduced to 1.5, but we'll be using, sorry, it has reduced to 1.15, but we'll be using 1.50. So you tap it again to change to 1.50. Once that is done, everything here is intact. The next thing you want to do is to add page numbers. Remember, I told you how to add page number when I was explaining the interface for you, by simply clicking on the plus sign. You see these page numbers, you tap on it, and then it will tell you to select the format that you want. If you want the numbers to appear on the top right, bottom right, top left, bottom left, you can put it anywhere you want to put it. So I want it to appear at the bottom right, so I'll tap this one. You see that it has numbered the pages. This is page 1. We are still on page 1, so you can see we are still on page 1. Now our story is making sense, and our book is also making sense. So we have our introduction, which is a story that will catch the person's attention. The next thing is to also add a general introduction about flower gardening. So let's go back to our playground and tell the app to write us an introduction to a flower gardening guide. So write a comprehensive introduction to a flower gardening guide, or you can even say flower gardening book. You scroll up and tap submit. As you can see, welcome to the ultimate flower gardening guide. Whether you are a novice or an experienced green thumb, this guide will provide you with the information you need to create a beautiful and flourishing flowers for your climate. Like that, like that, like that. As you can see, it has given us, you copy this again, copy everything, and then go and check plagiarism. After checking plagiarism, you take it to your Google Doc and you paste it immediately after the story. As you can see, I just pasted it immediately after the story. Our book is coming up. So we have our page number set, and we've also seen how to copy content from Playground to our Google Doc. The next thing is going to be how to add title page, and I'm going to teach that in the next part, which is the part 3. Stay tuned. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me for more awesome videos like this.